Well, hello and welcome to all of our viewers here today. I'm Fiona Lang-Sharp, IBCLC Director of Communications and MC here at Gold Learning. Today, we are talking about our Gold Birth and Beyond Conference. That's right, it's our inaugural year. We're very excited about what we're talking about. We are moving and shaking this industry forward in the perinatal field, and we've got some incredible presenters coming up for you, including Tynan, Rhea, very nice to have you here. It's so good to have you at Gold Birth and Beyond, and particularly about this upcoming topic. I'm just going to let everyone know about the actual title of the presentation is Postpartum Sex, a Trauma-Informed and Sex-Positive Approach. Welcome, Tynan. It's great to have you here today.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here. I'm very excited to talk with you.
Excellent. And we're going to get into the topic in just a moment, but let's have you introduce yourself. You've had quite the journey. I know that you've just moved. So tell us all that's happening, where you are in the world, so that our international audience can pin you on that map.
Sure, yes. So I started my private practice as a sex therapist and actually started as a doula and working in postpartum sex in Toronto. But I grew up in Wasaga Beach and I'm now back in Simcoe County in Ontario. So I'm coming from you, or I'm coming to you from a very small little northern town in Ontario. And yeah, I've been in the field of sexuality for over 10 years now in some capacity. And when I learned about doula work, I was really fascinated and didn't realize that I really didn't know anything about birth, pregnancy, any of that stuff, even though I had an undergrad in sexuality, marriage, and family. We didn't really talk about pregnancy. We didn't talk about birth. We didn't talk about labor or any of those reproductive pieces. And then so I naturally wanted to fill that gap. And when I started learning about birth work, we weren't really talking about sexuality and the role of sexuality sort of during those times. So during those reproductive years. And so I really, coming from a background in sexuality, wanted to bridge the gap between sex education and birth education and sort of bring them together. It's not a well-researched area, although it is exploding in the last few years since I've done my literature review, naturally. And it's definitely getting talked about far more in the years that I have sort of started. Back when I was developing my sex and birth course for Doula Canada, I was trying to find literature on the topic, books that people could read, related to it, that would go beyond the manual that I've written for the course. And there was just almost nothing. There was about 5 books I could find. And since then, more books have been written. So it really does seem like something that people are hungry to talk about, are excited to talk about, and want more information.
That's awesome. Yeah, I was going to actually ask you a little bit about that course, because I know right now the course that you're teaching is with Doula Canada and it's exclusive with them. But tell us a little bit about that course and how it's been received by doulas, because I can tell you, as an accredited trained doula with a couple of organizations, this is something that is brand new to me as well, as far as incorporating it into that education. So I was really excited to hear that you were doing it. But can you tell me like what it looks like right now in this coursework?
Yeah, so I feel like the course is a little different every time it runs. I'm still
Of
I'm still
course.
trying to, figure out the way that people want to get the information, and it's always been an online course, so trying to optimize that experience for folks. But I've run it as an 8-week course, I've run it as a 16-week course, and I will probably be running it now as kind of an open-ended thing, but let's not pretend like I know what the future is holding.
Right.
Generally, it's an 8-module learning experience. And
Okay.
so the first module is about, what does it mean to be trauma informed and sex positive? The second module is about sort of minorities and like BIPOC, queer and trans, um, disabled folks, like all the folks that generally sort of get missed in
Miss, I was going to
conversations
say,
about
yeah.
in birth and sexuality in particular. So, and then the third module is about the motherhood identity and how that impacts how we perceive sexuality during pregnancy, labor, and postpartum. And even if you don't identify identify as a mother and you are a pregnant person, that dominant culture narrative still can seep into how we perceive ourselves as sexual beings during that time, and it can get even more complicated when you don't identify as a mother, but certainly plenty of complication identifying as a mother as well. And then in the fourth module, and I might be getting this order a little bit wrong, but I believe the fourth module is the physiological, psychological, and emotional experiences of sex during pregnancy and labor. I think I've lumped those two together. And then
Hmm.
the fifth module is all about postpartum sex. And then the sixth module is all about trauma and the impact of trauma on sexuality, and specifically birth trauma or historical sexual violence, and how that it can impact a birth experience as well as sexuality. And the seventh module is all about relationships. I think I might have reversed those two. And then the last module is all about how to talk about sex with your clients.
Right.
So it's, we're building up all of your knowledge base and background. I present, my model of what I've called Tynan sexual self model as sort of a guiding framework, which we're definitely going to talk about
Right.
with your talk.
Yeah.
And then it's all really about, the course was kind of built around that model that I created.
Sure.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I was going to say, so to the folks listening, that model is going to be available exclusively to our Gold delegates here at Gold Birth and Beyond. So you definitely want to come and see Tynan. You're going to be live. I was going to mention that on Monday, the 19th of October. Of course, check your time zones. You can see everything online again at goldbirthandbeyond.com for all the conference schedule, those types of things. So as I was listening to you go through all of those modules, I was waiting for something that maybe wasn't relatable in terms of like maybe it wasn't something that I would really use. And I was thinking in the context of a doula at that point, but then I just expanded out into my mind. I have different roles. Lactation consultant. There really wasn't anything that I don't think that I could use. My question for you is really, why are we not all doing this? It seems like this would be an extremely important part of healthcare today. And I'm sure that, asking you this question, you're probably thinking, well, yeah, everyone should be doing it. Are we seeing the demand go up? What do you feel the same way as I do, Tynan?
Oh gosh, absolutely. I absolutely do think that in all fields of healthcare, we need to be talking about sex more, and not just about
Right,
sex, but about pleasurable sex.
right,
So often the goal is, are you not feeling pain? Are you not, suffering from some STI? Are you not struggling with some sexual disorder? But sex is so much more than, not having a bad experience. It really should be
right,
about, are you having a good experience?
right.
There are people with STIs, with sexual disorders, with sexual injury that are enjoying sex. So
Mm,
we really need to reconceptualize how we talk about sex.
I love
and we
that.
and as frontline workers, we really need to get comfortable talking about sex, because time and time again in both research and when I talk to people, so often people are not proactively asking their healthcare providers about sexuality topics because they're worried about how that person's going to react. They don't know if that person is comfortable. And even
Hmm.
if that person is comfortable, if that person isn't forward saying, I have this knowledge, I'm willing to talk to you about these things, or may I ask you some questions, the conversation is just not going to come up.
Yeah,
Overwhelmingly seems to be the case. Of course, there are some people here or there who are happy to, bring it up and they're very comfortable.
sure.
But we're just as a whole, as a culture, as a society, at least in North America, and it does seem to hold true for other countries around the
Yeah.
world. Again, research limited. Um, Frontline workers really need to be forward about that. They
Hmm.
really need to invite people in. And that's what I'm hoping we'll see more and more of in the coming years. That's what I would really like to see. And that's why I wanted to teach that course, because I wanted people to realize that sex isn't this big, scary topic, that
Right.
actually you can have a conversation and you don't have to know everything. Just opening up the door to have the conversation and being able to admit, wow, that's a really interesting question. I actually don't know the answer to that, but
Mm,
I could see why that would be important to you. Here's
right.
where I might look for the answer, or if you have it in your practice and in your capacity, to say, give me a few days, I'm going to look into that for you.
Yeah.
You know,
That's fabulous.
it's not, it doesn't need to be this whole song and dance. It really
Right.
is just about, I can hear this, I can hold this with you. um And I think that's largely what people are looking for around sex. I forget that all the time because I'm talking about sex all the time.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I work as a sex therapist, and so often I hear people say, like, at the end of a session, was this helpful? I always ask, and folks will often say, honestly, it just feels nice to get it out in the open.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so if you can be the holding place for that, that's more than 50% of the
Yeah,
goal.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I loved what you said about, definitely sort of the sex positive approach or in pleasurable, enjoyable sex. It seems to be that when we talk about sex with our clients, it's always when something is going wrong or it isn't good. So actually just having the conversation up front, and talking about it in a positive light, and I think opens up so many doors for even more conversation, whether things are going well or not. But
Mhm,
not talking about it has suppressed it
mhm.
and put it by the wayside so that we don't have the opportunity to ever really discuss it. So I
Yes.
really, really appreciate you bringing that to light. I know that that will definitely provide some more avenues. And I know that we're going to continue our conversation when we're online with you. So that's going to be really good as well. So thank you so much, Tynan. It's been great having you here.
Thank you. It's again, it's such an honor, and I'm very excited to join you next week.
Excellent. Well, I'll look forward to having you with us at our Gold Birth and Beyond conference. And once again, I'll just quick reminder for everyone to go to our goldbirthandbeyond.com conference for all the schedule. And we'll look forward to seeing you all online. Thank you once again, Tynan and Rhea, for being with me here today. Bye-bye for now.
Bye bye.